Hi, Bill M. here with more thoughts on Christopher Manson's Maze. If you've been enjoying these clips, please take a moment to give these clips a like and maybe subscribe to my channel. Thanks. As I mentioned in the previous clip, there have been plenty of other fans of this book who've given their help and interpretations. If you are looking for the major spoilers, like what is the exact sequence of rooms from 1 to 45 and back, that's the shortest path, or what is the riddle in room 45, or what is the answer to the riddle? Well, that stuff is already known. You can look those answers up, find them lots of places online, just do a simple web search. And we know for sure what the riddle and the answer to the riddle are because these were, as I mentioned, eventually revealed by the publisher after the initial contest in the 1980s was over. Of course, I would strongly advise not to look at the spoilers if you're still relatively new to the book. In any case, the real challenges are trying to determine things like what was the author's intended clue he expected you to read and use in this room or in that room, or what about this side story that seems to be happening in these pages, or perhaps questions like what is the identity of the narrator in this whole story. So assuming that has a definite answer. So with these questions in mind, I just wanted to make a quick clip talking briefly about resources I've found over the years. One of these is a video podcast called Mazecast. You can find their clips on YouTube if you search for Mazecast, one word, or go to mazecast.com or look at that URL and manually type that in. That will get you to the YouTube channel. In any case, this is a series of videos where some fans of the book got together to talk about Maze, and they have a video for each and every one of the 45 rooms, and they go beyond that too. They'll have discussions about certain objects or the character of the narrator, identity, so on. My thoughts on Mazecast is that, well, as a fellow fan, I was so happy just to see other people who love this book and have put a lot of thought into questions like the ones I listed and share their interpretations. If I have a criticism of Mazecast, though, it's that it kind of suffers the same problem which almost any group of people looking at this book would have, and that is going down the rabbit hole. So the discussions invariably end up going through some really wild speculations, free association and whatnot, and sometimes the reasoning sounds too far-fetched and not really going anywhere, I gotta be honest. Now, granted, it can be fun doing that in and of itself. It's certainly fun even when you get together also with friends and just let your minds get lost together. But as fun as it is, that's not the same as really trying to find plausible solutions. Another problem with Mazecast, in my opinion, is that a lot of the people on the team seem to think the same. What I mean is, the kind of people who are going to be obsessed with a book like this are going to tend to be fiercely left-brained people, for lack of a better term. Very analytical, high IQ, brainiac types. And that's excellent and all. I'm a math nerd myself, but if you have a group of people who all kind of think in the same way, I would argue you wind up overthinking a lot of stuff. And there's the problem of, well, to use a cliche, not seeing the forest for the trees. I imagine that somebody who can think more, say, linguistically or knows their classic mythology, excuse me, and so on, would be a great asset. Of course, I think you'd have the same problem if you only had a room full of artsy people like that, without anybody bringing the mathematical mind into it, too many thinkers of the same type in the same room. Regardless, if you are a fan of the Maze book like me, then the episodes of Mazecast are still well worth checking out. Originally, I was going to say that they haven't really put out anything new in a while, but that is no longer the case as I record this, because just before I was planning on recording all these clips of my own, I saw that Mazecast added new content. So check them out. Now, next in this little list for resources is intotheabyss.net. This is a website created and run by Maze fans, and it must be the biggest written resource for Maze anywhere, ever. Now, way back in the 1990s, somebody had actually made a web version of Maze, I remember. So they copied all of the text and made low-resolution images of each room, or at least by our standards today, low resolution. Strung it all together to make a web version of the book. So each room would be on a different page, and to leave one room and go to a different exit, you would click on the door in the picture to go there. And I actually made a version like that myself some years later after the site went away by using the colorized images of the rooms that came with the CD-ROM game. I just threw those together with the text and HTML. I made it so that I could essentially use the Maze book on a tablet. That was my reason for doing so. Regardless, the original 1990s web version with the low-res images have either been copied or were duplicated, in any case, to intotheabyss.net. So if you go to intotheabyss.net, you can virtually go through the book there. But the website not only has that, but it's additionally set up like a blog where fans leave comments in each room. And then out of those comments, the website authors have said, okay, well, this seems like a more likely solution from what people are saying, and they'll say what it is. Unfortunately, again, I think some of those solutions that fans have come up with are far-fetched. I'll talk more about specific examples in future clips of my own, but I think a lot of the people involved with the website were also involved with Mazecast. One more nice thing I will say about intotheabyss.net, though, is that the rooms are also categorized as path, loop, or trap rooms and beautifully mapped out. Okay, so there's Mazecast and there's Into the Abyss. In my first clip about Maze, I mentioned there was a video game made for the Mac that came out in the 1990s. Some of the rooms had hidden animations when you clicked on certain parts, and it was said that these had something to do with the correct doors. I'm trying to remember the exact quote, but it does make me wonder if, okay, are those maybe additional clues? Okay, I actually have the transcribed clip right here. The CD-ROM and the spoken directions, the game says, some objects are particularly helpful and become alive when you click on them. And that's all they say about it. So maybe there could be some secrets in there, or it might be just randomly animated stuff. I'll do a separate clip sometime, I think, on the game. Okay, so finally, what about the author himself, Christopher Manson? Has anybody reached out to him for clues? He's still alive, last I checked. So the short answer to all of that is yes. Some fans have managed to reach out to him, but he, in short, hasn't been of much help. From what I've heard, he's a hard man to reach. He's a very private person, very much a Luddite on top of all that, avoiding internet technology for the most part. But like I said, some fans have managed to get in touch with him over the years, write him letters and stuff. There was somebody on intotheabyss.net who I guess got to exchange a few letters and beyond, and Manson has given out some hints of information, but not much. It would be great if you could say, well, here's the reasoning for choosing this particular door in this particular room. Or, no, that's not what that object in that room represents. That's a nice guess, but you're wrong. That's not why I put it here. Hey, that's an amusing interpretation, but no, that's not why there's an umbrella in room 10. It would be great if he, had given some things like that, but no. I've heard that when he's been asked about that sort of stuff, he says, well, yes, that is an interesting interpretation, and, doesn't really confirm or deny things. So unfortunately, it looks like the author is going to take most of these secrets of his to the grave. So those are the biggest resources I know about Maze. If you know of another one that I didn't list and has a lot of information that isn't in any of those resources I mentioned in this clip, please let me know. And otherwise, thank you for watching. In the next clip, I'm going to give my own further analysis on Maze and what I think a lot of Mazecast and Into the Abyss fans seem to overlook. Take care.